editorial importance which I used to find in that particular head. So that gave me, at the end of 1 year, I had my own set of notes, all important topics that were there for that year. So when you say current affairs, if you're giving the exam for 2023, from January 2022, your current affairs become important. And from Jan 22 for the next year, for the next year exam of 2023, that much is sufficient, because more or less the themes will remain same. Only the facts will change, like the amount of poverty. Different facts. So the GS2 you have in GS3 different facts. So those will change, but over a year the theory part will more or less remain the same.
So one thing what I would want to say here is, I used to not make much of a notes. I am not a note making person, but I could say that it might have costed me a few marks. So now, after maybe I married Srushti, I could see her notes. So I saw her notes which was lying in there at her house. Like she had made so much of notes. Maybe itna pura like ishtu doddu bundle notes ittu, and they were very crisp to the point, and she had made lots of notes, and maybe that has helped in her general studies score, I would say.
I always tell that the more organized your notes are, the more better your answers will come out to be. Reason being, our brain is like a library. And if you are not categorizing it into different subjects, if you're just, keeping it, I'll just pick up from an overall yearly compilation and I'll be able to manage it, you will be able to manage it. But to ace the exam with good score and get the service of your choice, you will have to put in a bit more of effort, right? So I would advise you to, make out your own this thing from the editorials at least. Rest current affairs you can cover from online websites. The next thing is static GS.
One more thing I would like to add in current affairs. So you get lot of value-added materials from coaching institutes. Take from some reliable institute which make good current affairs notes. So you, as madam was telling, editorial notes ನೀವೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಬೇರೆದಕ್ಕೆ you try to depend upon some institute notes if you are not so much into note making. But if you are doing it very well and good. And coming to static GS, what we both thought was like static GSLE, it is note making is very individual. This one choice. So you may choose to make notes for maybe history or geography, or you may not. So it will not affect much in at the end, I would say.
Because what happens is, some of your books, so we read M. Lakshmikant for polity, yes? Now this book is in itself in a form of notes. If you end up making notes of that book, you'll do a photocopy. Because already the book is very condensed, very to the point, and sort of vast, which is required for the exam. So for that, you need not go into that. So say for example, you're referring to D.D. Basu for polity. Now D.D. Basu is bit vast, deep. And if you're not a PubAd student, then you don't need that much of it. So you can sort of just pick up some important themes like, say, center-state relations, or DPSP, or fundamental rights. You can pick up those themes from that book, and then you can make some bit notes of that. What notes does is keeps in your head and in your copy, it sort of consolidates your information. And it becomes easier for you to revise. So we will talk about revision, but at the outset I'll tell you that no matter how much you read, the only thing which you can revise matters. Because you are reading so much vast things, you have so many subjects to read. So if you end up just making notes and not revising them, there is no use of them, right? So you have to understand this basic, you have to keep in mind the revision factor also in your head. So we'll move on.
Optional.
Yeah.
When it comes to note making of optionals, I would say this should be compulsory. The optional, I would stick to English. You should make notes of optional. So my optional was medical science. So as I told, I was not a note making person. I used to hate making notes right from school. But for optional, I had to make notes because you cannot revise optional in a week. So it is so vast, that too particularly technical subjects like medical science and all. It's so vast that you can't revise in a week. So you have to make your own notes. So what I did was like I made a few of my friends make notes for me, and I used to read that. But the point to take away from here is,
Not sure we're getting those friends, everybody of us. So I more was a, work hard, strive hard. that kind of a thing. So he got friends who could make notes for him. I'm not sure if you all would get that.
Yeah, but optional mein you should definitely make your own notes. Your own notes will definitely add much value than reading somebody else's notes. The medical science has notes available on internet of one of our senior, so it's really good. But if you read that, you'll not be able to grasp it as much as you have prepared on your own. So optional notes making is very much necessary. Even if you don't make any other notes, you make sure that you will make your own optional notes. Okay.
Fine then. So we will now move on to GS papers 1, 2, 3, 4 individually. And we'll discuss some important themes of that paper, and we will discuss the preparation frameworks of it. Yeah. So the first is GS1. What do we have in GS1? History, geography, world history, post-independence history, then Indian society. What else? Art and culture. Correct. So I think that is all that we have in GS1. So all these subjects are pretty vast in their nature. Yes. If you're studying history, you have to just start from the back to the post-independence part of it, the entire freedom movement. In geography, if you pick, there are different parts of it, landforms, and economic geography, so many parts. So this GS paper is going to be vast. It's going to take more time of yours. So I would suggest keep that in your head. You don't have some quick pointers like in GS3. You can just keep on finishing topics fast. That's not happening in GS1. So be prepared for that when you start preparation for it. Other thing which I would like to say is, if you look at the paper of the previous year papers of GS1, you will find that there are a lot of repeated themes in the paper. There are a couple of topics, and this I have mentioned specifically in my book as well. There are certain topics and themes which come more or less every year. Now we know that the exam is going to be a bit unpredictable and we don't know what you're facing, but in mains, there is a lot that you can prepare for in advance. Say there is a theme called regionalism. If you look at the papers, you will have one question or the other on regionalism. They will try to connect regionalism with state formation, interstate relation, or something like that. So why not prepare a framework in advance of that topic, right? So we know that a question is coming out of it. So why not prepare a good definition? Why not prepare a good example? Why not look into the current affairs of what specifically happened this year about this particular subject? When you do that, you're creating your own framework of that topic. And then in the exam, if you face any question with regionalism, anything, you at least have a framework to start with. And that gives you immense confidence on that day. Correct? So my thing will be, please go on focusing on the themes which are repetitive in nature, and from current affairs, like we were trying to tell them.
When it comes to GS1, so if you take up GS1 question paper, if you observe, so what you should learn is to observe the past previous year question papers. So many toppers say like you read previous year question papers, read previous year question papers. So you must be wondering what to read in previous year question. They are just questions. No, but you should also understand that there is a hidden way of asking questions in all the question papers. If you go through, you just have to observe that. So when it comes to GS1, so generally what they do is, so they take up some static topic and they link it with the current. So generally they will have two parts. First part, they will this applies to GS2 as well. So first part they will ask you to explain something related to static. So for example, post-independence history.
For example, recently we had this museum of the Prime Ministers, right? That was inaugurated in Delhi, yes? Did you follow that current affairs? So what can be connected from the past? They can ask you the contributions of Prime Ministers over the years. Yes? So you are like picking up a theme from the static. You're like picking up a theme from the past, from the theoretical, theoretical aspect of the post-independence history, and then you're trying to connect it with what is happening at the current moment. You getting the point?
For example, the question might come like this. Recently, a National Museum of Prime Minister has been inaugurated in Delhi. So what do you think or what are the contributions made by the previous prime ministers in the economic development of the country as it is today. So this might be the question. So the current affairs is inauguration of PM Museum, but the topic is economic development and contributions of different PMs for this. So this is how they will link. This is how they will link the current affairs with the static part. So
And this you will find with all of UPSC questions.
yeah.
There is this analytical part of it. You will find very less straightforward questions. Define X and give examples. Very rarely you will find such questions. Most of the questions will be interconnecting 2 or 3 main topics or themes of the entire syllabus. And mind you, nowadays, in GS1, they actually can ask about economic development, which you would think ye to GS3 ka topic hai, right? In our heads, we are categorizing it according to it. But there is a lot of interconnection that's happening. There's a lot of interconnection of the topics and arguments that they expect from you. And that's why such questions can be there.
For example, when it comes to geography, so recently there was Assam floods. They might take up topic from Assam floods, and they might ask, they might include the disaster management part also in GS1. It might happen. It can happen.
Or
So
in GS1, you could have why the flood happens, how it happens, the geographical part of it, right?
yeah. So that is how they will link. So they will link the static part, and they will take some current affairs. So then they will ask you to analyze the effects, or analyze something else. So it's all about analysis. It's all about how you think. So mains is all about how you think. It's not about how much you know.
So how do you prepare for such kind of a paper? When you are preparing a static part, and so that's why both your static and current should be sort of done simultaneously. All of us would ask, how many hours should I give for reading the newspaper? Yes? Sometimes I have a question. I spend a lot of time on reading the on the newspaper. What should I do? So newspaper editorial is important. Static is also important. You have to somehow manage, say, 1.5 hour for newspaper current of the day, and then you can move on to the major static part. But keep connecting in your head. If you have a question of, or if you have an editorial on floods, please go back to GS1, geography of floods. If you have a question of some volcano erupting in some Southeast Asian country, please go back to what volcanism is, how different landforms are formed, what is the scientific theory behind it, geographical theory behind it.
So what I have observed in her notes is, so she mentioned volcano. So what she would have written is volcano ka jo bhi geographical aspects. Then if there is something current happening, so I said her notes would have the both static part and also the current affairs part. So everything about volcano and disaster
Will be in one page.
would be in only in a single page. Or if there is some international conventions which has happened on any such topic, everything would be there in a single page. So here you would have covered geography, disaster management, at the same time some maybe international organization or international IR topic also.
Yes.
So this is how you should make notes. In a single page you should cover the whole topic holistically.
And that is definitely going to help you, right? We have another topic, Indian society. Can you tell me which is the basic theme from Indian society which is asked every year? Women empowerment, yes, one. Another one. Caste. Poverty will go to 2 and 3. GS1, caste, 100%. How caste is changing, how caste is impacting the society, how communalism is one. Regionalism, as I told you, is one. Caste is one. Women empowerment, 100 and 200% you're getting a question. You're getting a question in essay, you're getting it in GS1, you might getting in GS2. So these are themes that you should be preparing very seriously. Grab an article. If you find an editorial, just grab it, read it, just relish it. That, there are some important points that I can just use it from this. If you find an online article, some website, you're finding it, just go through it. So these are themes, your mental, whatever antenna should be alert. This topic is there, let me just, properly read it for my own, and let me just note down some important topics. So we'll move on to GS2, yes?
So we'll take questions in between, no?
If there's anything which you have, you can just, I would like to remind you that it's a two-way session. You can just ask us.
Regarding GS1, if you have
GS1.
covered GS1, you can ask anything about GS1 if you have any doubt.
Yes, you can just put your hands up and we'll take your question.
There is a
Yeah, please.
on mic.
Yeah, you.
Hello, sir. Hello, ma'am. It is usually said that don't make a notes on first reading. Make a notes on after second reading and third reading. Ma'am, what is the gap between the first reading and second reading, ma'am? If we give too much of gap, means if we read second time
Yes.
also, it will get, we are reading first time only.
Yes.
So we are stuck between how to make notes. Means the gap between first reading and second reading and third reading.
Fine.
Ma'am, this is the.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So this question is basically applicable for static part, correct? Say for example, the newspaper for 30th July. Will you be going back to it after a couple of days? No. 30th July newspaper is gone. Then will come 30th August and so on. So this question is applicable for static. I am reading NCRT for the first time. Should I make notes on the first go? Not advisable. Reason being, first time everything sounds very fresh. First time I read magma and lava, I feel, oh, there was something like that in 6th standard. Now it's again feeling fresh. But when I am reading about the different theories, the Wegener theory and whatnot of geography, I will see that lava magma concept is extremely basic. UPSC is not going to throw you such questions, neither in prelims nor in mains. So that means that I'm not going to make notes out of it now, of that particular topic. But if you are reading something from GS2, you are reading the concept of, tell me some political concept, anything? Say communalism. I'm reading about communalism from the 11th standard political science NCRT. Yes? I read it and then I found over and over UPSC is asking me communalism. So yes, that particular topic becomes important for me. I might want to note down some important things from it. When it comes to the second reading, third reading, that will be more applicable for your standard books. See, what is the layer of your preparation? Base is your NCRT. That is the base. Please don't ignore it. Please don't say that I am an art student, I've taken humanities, I'll leave on NCRTs, I'll directly pick on the standard books. No,